What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got Marvin Vettori calling out Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather on a helipad, Strickland sparring stories, and much more. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to see more videos just like this. Now let's get into it. Marvin Vettori is challenging Jake Paul to a sparring match. Never one to miss all the fun, Italy's own Marvin Vettori is now issuing his own challenge to Jake Paul, saying he'll meet him in a sparring match. Paul is in the middle of a feud with UFC President Dana White over fighter pay, cocaine allegations, and much more. Meanwhile, Vettori is now taking this time to call Paul out, not to a pro boxing bout, but to throw hands in the training ring. Hey fake Paul, let's set up a sparring. I'll match any bet you want. You claim anybody, anytime, anywhere, but you won't go further than 6 rounds, I promise you that. Put your nuts on the table. I want to feel if you can really box. Hashtag fake Paul. Hashtag the Italian dream. Vettori's schedule is free right now, with no fights booked. He's coming off a unanimous decision win over Paulo Costa in a catchweight bout at UFC Fight Night 196, also earning a significant portion of Costa's purse after Borrachinha missed weight. Jake Paul, meanwhile, is coming off a spectacular knockout of former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley last month and improved his boxing record to 5-0. He's been calling out Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, both of whom have scoffed at the idea of fighting Paul. It's been a whirlwind 2 weeks for Paul and the rest of the UFC world, with everyone issuing challenges, and Vettori's is just the latest in the saga. What do you make of Vettori's challenge to Jake Paul? When she returns, Joanna Jedrzejczyk says she expects a rematch against Zhang Weili. Joanna Jedrzejczyk's fight against Zhang Weili at UFC 248 in March of 2020 was one hell of a bout, enough to become the 2020 Fight of the Year. Since that loss, Joanna has been taking her time, spending it with family, and mentally preparing to get back into the octagon. Now it looks like she's keen to get back and believes that it will be against a familiar foe. In a recent interview with Polish outlet Sport.pl, Jedrzejczyk revealed that she does plan on coming back to fighting and is looking forward to rematching Zhang Weili in particular. Everyone thinks I'm not in the UFC anymore. I am. I just dropped out of the rankings because I haven't fought for a dozen or so months, but I'm coming back and fighting the #1 contender. It will probably be Zhang Weili. The 34-year-old former strawweight champion lost 4 out of her last 6 fights, but those losses were all title fights. She stated that UFC boss man Dana White has offered her the chance to challenge the winner of the title fight between champ Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza. But Joanna says she doesn't want to wait that long, believing that with all the planned strawweight bouts right now, a fight against Weili makes the most sense. What do you think about Joanna announcing that she's ready to get back into the cage? And how do you think a rematch against Zhang Weili would go? Strickland consistently calls out Francis Ngannou to spar, says his coach Eric Nicksick. Strickland is just one of those guys who loves to mix it up in training. According to his coach at Extreme Couture, Eric Nicksick, Strickland is a throwback to the early days of the gym, when guys would bring aggression and energy on sparring day. Strickland is no different, as the #7 ranked UFC middleweight contender prepares for his fight with Jack Hermanson on February 5th at UFC Fight Night 201. Ahead of the bout, Nicksick spoke with MMA Fighting about what Strickland brings to training. They were trying to fight you every day, and that was the vibe. Of course, we went away from that because it wasn't great for the longevity of your career, but there's an element of that I do like, and a tenacity that I think is important. You want to have competition in the training room. Then, Nicksick shares a bit of Strickland's mindset that he carries during sparring sessions. That dude will literally spar anybody in our gym. He calls Francis out every sparring session. He loves to spar Francis because he goes, I want to feel as close to death as possible, and I want to have that fear of God in my heart every time I spar a guy like Francis Ngannou. So sure, we throw him in there and let him get some rounds with Francis. What do you make of Strickland's penchant for towing the line between life and death in his sparring sessions with Francis Ngannou? Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest fight news. Paulo Costa's manager says Borrachinha can beat anyone. if he trains correctly. Paulo Costa is riding a 2-fight losing streak in the UFC and failed to make the middleweight limit for his last bout this past October. But his coach, Weili Zhang, said despite it all, Borrachinha will remain fighting at 185 pounds. Case in point, in a recent interview with Sherdog, Zhang showed nothing but loyalty and support for his fighter. The UFC is not the biggest fighting company in the world by chance. They know that Borrachinha was injured, and that's why he had problems with his weight. There's no doubt his next fight will take place in the middleweight division. We will fight whoever the UFC decides. I keep believing that Borrachinha will be the champion. He just has to train right. His biggest problem is that he trains too much. If he trains correctly, I have no doubt no one in the division can beat him. It's unclear when Costa would fight next. Although he's still a big name in the division and ranked 5th at middleweight, he's lost 2 straight, his first 2 losses in his career. How he bounces back from here will say a lot about Costa. But what do you think? Do you believe Costa should stay at middleweight if he can't make the weight again? And do you believe he will eventually go on another run and challenge for the title again? Floyd Mayweather to fight on a helipad atop Dubai's Burj Al Arab Hotel in combat sports first. Have you ever seen a fight on a helipad before? That's what's about to take place atop the iconic Burj Al Arab Hotel in Dubai, if we're to believe an announcement by Floyd Mayweather. The 44-year-old boxing legend announced that he's going to take part in an exhibition fight at the incredible location on February 20th. Don't take our word for it, you can hear it from the man himself, who held a press conference on the helipad.
We will be doing a special limited edition boxing showcase right here on the helipad, February 20th, 4 days before my birthday.
Mayweather goes on to explain that there's no official opponent for the fight yet, although there is speculation it could be a well-known Middle Eastern YouTuber. Again, nothing official. But it is pretty interesting that this will take place atop a helipad on a building in Dubai. What do you think about this plan to have an exhibition boxing fight at this location? And who do you want to see Mayweather box at this event? Thanks so much for joining us today and catching up on all things MMA. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA world. See you next time.